Hey guys, thanks for stopping by my channel. Today's video, we're taking a look at a very old vintage copy of The Theory and Practice of Color by Bonnie E. Snow and Hugh B. Froelich. And this was published by the Prang Company publisher. If you think, hey, that sounds familiar, it is Louis Prang, who most famously, I think we all know him in the coloring community from the Prang colored pencils. I have a box. Actually have a vintage box of those as well. I was planning on, I'm still kind of planning on doing a deep dive on Louis Prang colored pencils, art supplies in particular. But I came across this book while actually doing some research for that particular video that I never got around to doing. But I became very fascinated with this book, and I was trying to find a copy that wasn't so expensive because I'm personally interested very much so in colors, color history. And I thought we would take a look at this book because it's very interesting how different colors and color theory was viewed over a century ago. This particular copy this is the third edition of this book. I think the original, if I'm not mistaken, was published in 1918. This one is copyright 1920. It says third edition. What I was really interested in with this book in particular was how it had all of these color plates inside. And it's really difficult to find a copy of this with these color plates intact. I had been looking at one that was around $50, and it had like the colors on the plates were either very smeared or some of the plates were missing. See how this is like starting to discolor and break down. There are copies of this book that are going for like thousands of dollars on eBay. I did like a whole, I looked for this book everywhere because I was trying to find a copy that wasn't super expensive, that I could reasonably not feel super guilty about spending that much money on a book. Even though this book, you'll see how it has the tissue paper, especially the red, is starting to seep through. But I got really lucky because I found the one I had been kind of hemming and hawing about picking up. Eventually somebody bought it, and I'm actually glad I didn't buy that copy, because then maybe like several months later I came upon this copy, and it wasn't very well described. Like, it was just like a brief synopsis of the book, and it said like the condition it was in. I got it from Thrift Books. It came from someplace, maybe I think it came from Seattle. I got it from Thrift Books. I ordered it on Amazon, but it shipped from Thrift Books, and the description sounded like too good to be true. And I was like, well, let me order it, and if it's, not as described, I could always send it back. And this is an incredibly good copy of this book. As you can tell, most of these plates are intact. The color is still good. Actually, I think just paging through this book, it seems like this might have been very lightly used. It's not that, like, the pages seem kind of stiff, like they were not opened often or at all, maybe even just like a few times. And I did start reading a little bit of the book, and I think I'm going to read the intro to you. I don't want to sit here and read the whole entire book. You'll be falling asleep, unless maybe I'll do a special video where I read this for you guys to fall asleep to. Should I unbend it? I'm super nervous. I was thinking maybe I should bring out the white gloves for this book, and I made sure I wasn't drinking any liquids around it, because knowing me, I would spill something, of course, and ruin this book. So just paging through quickly. before we read a little bit of this book. So that's how I came across this book, trying to do a little background research on Louis Prang. And I came across some of his books, from his publishing company, and as well as I found that he was also like a famous lithographer. There's some really nice lithographs around that he created as well. So hopefully I get it together and do eventually put that video together where we do a deep dive. I had a deep dive on Rose Art colored pencils. If you're interested in that sort of thing, I did a little background and comparison on older sets of Rose Art pencils, and we talked a little bit about the history of that family that that company originated with. This book was meant to be like a bridge to more of the layman of color theory. We really do take having so much information available to us for granted. Back then, you'd have to go to a library or even have to live near a library to get information. Books probably were more of a commodity. If you were poor or not as well off, maybe it would be more difficult to actually have books. So I think this is pretty interesting. This book was meant to bridge that gap from the higher echelon, I think, more scientific, educated type of person. That's how I take it anyway. So let's read this preface and get into a little bit of this book. Up to the present time, the study of color has been approached from 3 different angles: the angle of the physicist, the angle of the chemist, and the angle of the painter or artist. The physicist has demonstrated that the sun is the source of all color and has unlocked for us the secret of the solar spectrum. The chemist has found in certain clays in plant and animal life and in the byproducts of coal various symbols and substitutes for color, which he calls pigment, and which he combines in wonderful ways to make our dyes, paints, and inks. The artist painter has made use of the chemist formula in the instrument which he uses to portray interpretation of nature, his marvelous flights of imitation, and the depth of his insight into the human heart. But all 3 of these workers, indispensable as each one is to the growth and development of the world, have ignored the individual man and his needs. Though living in a world of color and forced by the nature of all created things to the daily and hourly use of color, the average man is densely ignorant of any laws or principles which will guide him in its intelligent use. He has been sailing in uncharted seas, and as a result, he has often found himself upon the rocks of discordant and irritating color combinations in his home, in his dress, and in his effort to meet the demands of business advertising. Moreover, the enjoyment of color in itself as pure and exquisite a pleasure as the enjoyment of music has been for him a sensation unknown. He has believed that color belongs to a mysterious realm inhabited only by artists, geniuses, and others who are quote-unquote born to the purple. I've never heard that expression before. He has been told that the appreciation of color is a matter of feeling and emotion, and that if he does not naturally thrill to chords of color struck by a master hand, then there is no way for him to acquire the ability to enjoy color and to understand its use except through years of practice in technical processes of so-called art training. This book, with its color charts, is compiled for the purpose of discovering to the ordinary man the world of color. The charts are the keys to unlock a vast storehouse. The charts, purely scientific as they are, will cause the doors of the storehouse to swing wide open, or to swing wide. All who will may enter and carry away the priceless gems. Familiarity with the scientific basis of color can never restrict the play of man's emotions, nor deaden his vibrations. Indeed, the more he knows about color, the greater is his pleasure in using it. That the simple theory herein expounded may be of service to students of all ages who wish to know that they may more fully live is the sincere desire of the authors. And it says, grateful acknowledgments made to Mr. Frank Alva Parsons, president of the New York School of Fine Arts, might be familiar with Parsons in New York, whose presentation of this color theory as a fundamental in all his art training first attracted the attention of the authors and suggested to them the simplified series of charts which appear in this book. We have the table of contents. This goes through a world of color, the source of color, the primary colors and their uses in design, the binary colors, how to use them, color values, tints and shades, complementary colors and how to use them, neighboring or analogous colors, the color triad and the split complementary, colors in various degrees of intensity or grade colors. This is the most interesting thing in this book, I think, because I was reading I didn't read the whole book. I was reading a lot from the beginning, and the way that they describe colors is a little bit different how we describe them today. There seems to be a lot less descriptive terms in this book. I found that something that I would call brown, they're calling gray. And then we have psychology of color, color harmonies in costume, color harmonies in interior decoration, color in commercial design. And then we have all the charts here. Then we have the theory and practice of color. Let me know if you'd like me to read all of these, and maybe I'll do like a whole several part series. This is available online for free. Since it's such an old book, I guess it's in the public domain at this point. I will try and link the Smithsonian Institute. I have troubles with my S's. Does have this uploaded, and you can read it or even do it like text to speech if you don't want to read it. It's for free, so if you want to just get the information, it's out there for free. This is, if you go on Amazon, you can order it, but it's like a KDP version of it. And I don't think for what this book is, what you're looking for it to be, with the color, actual color examples, I wouldn't recommend ordering it that way. I would just read it online for free, because the KDP printing is not gonna in any way sort of get the same reference colors as these real life ones, I don't think. So let's read this chapter, the primary colors and their use in design. The prismatic band or spectrum has been symbolized by a beautiful rhythm of painted colors, beginning with red and passing through successive steps of orange, yellow, green, and blue to red-violet. In the rainbow or prismatic group itself, some of these color tones are missing. Among these is the pure typical red, which leans neither to orange nor to violet. Take a look. In the color charts in this volume, we have represented the colors of the spectrum and also the missing step in the complete circuit of color tones. In dealing thus with pigments, we find that there are three colors which are the basis of all colors, and that these three are yellow, red, and blue. These colors are in themselves elements and cannot be produced by mixture. Therefore, we call them primary colors. In this study, the relationship of different tones in our scale of colors, it has been found convenient to arrange them in a circle, the first element of which are shown in chart 1. Here, the three pigments, primaries, yellows, red, and blue, appear in their greatest strength in intensity. These are therefore called normal yellow, normal red, normal blue, because they are unmodified and undiluted. The three primary colors in their full intensity, differing so widely in their tone and quality, are instantly recognized by little children who start with them as the first step in the acquirement of defined color knowledge. Many interesting exercises may be planned to vitalize and make practical the purely scientific facts presented. Children are trained to avoid the use of two primaries as red and yellow, red and blue, blue and yellow, in any exercise or arrangement involving the decorative use of color. Binary colors and how to use them. Now, this is a little bit of different terminology than we are used to. Binary colors in this book is what we would typically refer to as secondary colors. And this says, if we start with the three primary pigments, yellow, red, and blue, as a basis, we have a foundation for all of the other color tones. that can be produced by mixture. The simplest ratio of combination is to mix equal parts of any two primaries, producing in this way by each mixture a third color, which we call a binary color. There are three binary colors, orange, green, and violet, which are produced as follows. Equal parts of the yellow and red in mixture produce the binary orange. Equal parts of yellow and blue in mixture produce the binary green. And equal parts of red and the blue in mixture produce the binary violet. Let's see, we have a picture of that. Some of these theories in this book, I feel like in current day have been either disproven or disagreed with. There's multiple color theories out there. So take that, what we're reading here, kind of with a grain of salt. And I love how vibrant these colors are in this book and how well preserved these are. Then we have a chapter 5, color values, tints, and shades. So let's read a little bit of this one. One of the advantages of a definite, is that definite or definite? I think maybe it might be definite, maybe. Knowledge of color gained through the study and analysis of color charts is the ability to classify and name all the different color tones that we see about us in flowers, in landscape, in materials of all kinds, in dyes, paints, inks, and other forms of pigments. To give each color tone its place and name, we must understand the various properties or qualities of color. In this study of grammar, we first learn to identify the different parts of speech, such as nouns, verbs, and adjectives. So in the study of color, we must first be able to identify the different color tones of the chromatic circle. After that, we are ready to investigate the different forms or manifestations of each color. Color is strangely like language in its different forms and shades of meaning. It has different qualifiers and modifiers. One of these qualifiers is known as value. We should understand clearly what this means. We have already learned that the colors in the chromatic circle, as shown in the charts, are seen in their full strength or intensity. But in the world about us, we often see any one of these colors in lighter and darker tones. We can easily recall a large family of blues, reds, greens, and all the other colors ranging from very pale to very dark tones. This quality of lightness or darkness is what we mean by value. If I say to you, I shall wear a blue dress tomorrow, you don't know whether I mean a light blue, a dark blue, or a normal blue dress. But if I say I shall wear a dark blue dress tomorrow, you immediately form an idea of what I mean. But you do not know just how dark my dress will be, for there are many degrees of dark in blue. It is often necessary to state how dark or how light a certain color tone is. To help us do this, a scale of value has been prepared. Each step in the scale having its own particular name, just as in the scale of music, we have the notes or tones do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. The middle scale of values facing page 9 is expressed only in grays and is known as the neutral value scale. But it would be possible to show the same gradation of tints and shades in any color, Ranging from the palest tint you can imagine to the deepest shade, the palest tint would be nearest white and the darkest shade nearest black. Black and white in mixtures give us neutral grays. That is, the grays that show no tinge of color. If to white we add a touch of black, we shall produce a very light tint of gray. If we add more black, we shall produce a darker gray. Between white and black, there is an infinite number of steps or degrees of gray. It is impossible to show them all, so a scale of 7 steps has been adopted as the standard or symbol for all the grays between white and black. Beginning with white, these steps have been named just as we have named the steps in the musical scale. Facing page 9. Which is this scale here. Middle is found halfway between white and black. Light is between middle and white. Low light is between middle and light. Highlight is between light and white. Dark is between middle and black. Low dark between dark and black. High dark between dark and middle. Okay, a visual of it again When we wish to classify and name the value of a color tone, we may do so by comparing the lightness or darkness of that color with a step in the neutral value scale. We can say red at highlight if we mean a pale tone of red, or red at high dark if we mean a tone of red that is a little darker than the normal. In this way, we can locate the lightness or darkness of any color tone. In the value scale shown facing page 9, two colors, blue, green, and red, orange, are arranged in graded tones on either side of the neutral scale. Observe that both of these colors show their full intensities at middle value. There are other colors, however, whose full intensities would be located at different degrees of the value scale. For all colors at full intensity, as seen in the chromatic circle, are not of the same value. For example, yellow at full intensity is much lighter in value than blue or red at full intensity. Of all colors, yellow is the lightest in value and violet is the darkest. Yellow at full intensity is a high light in value, and violet at full intensity is a low dark. Lighter tints of yellow would therefore pass out of the range of the scale of neutral values, which is shown facing page 9. Of course, the number of steps in any value scale could be infinitely increased, or as a color travels towards white or black, the new terms could be added and indicated any degrees of lightness or darkness presenting by a color tone. Okay. I'm not going to get too far more into this because I want to get through the rest of the book. Here we have what they're calling normal colors, tints, and shades. We have light yellows to dark yellow, light greens to dark greens. Then we move on to complementary colors and how to use them. I'm trying to find the part where they talked about browns and gray, orange. Oh, this might be it. In our work, we can utilize this scientific fact in a variety of ways. If equal parts of a complementary pair of colors will produce neutral gray, a smaller proportion of one color would soften or gray the other. For example, if we wish to reduce the brightness or intensity of a green tone in paint, we add a little red, and the desired effect is gained. Similarly, we soften or gray a too brilliant red by adding a little of its complement green. The rectangle of gray-red in chart 5 was produced in this way, which is this one. So were the other rectangles labeled respectively as gray-green, gray-yellow, gray-violet, gray-blue, and gray-orange. Each grade color was produced by adding a bit of its complement. So this is what I was talking about, how they refer to what I think most of us would say just called brown. They refer to the color as gray-orange. So I thought that was one of the interesting things to me, how they describe colors. Let's see if we can get close up. So that's what one of the main takeaways I thought I got from this book was it's the same results, but a different description or language being applied to the theory. If that makes sense. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me. And then we have a device for locating complementary pairs of colors. Very much similar to, I have this color wheel over here. This color wheel got kind of squished. But we have yellow, yellow-green. Are all these colors the same? They're a little bit different. Let's see. I think this color wheel has more in between colors than a regular color wheel. Let me see if I have a smaller one. This one might be more on par with the book. Let's see, yeah. So we have yellow, yellow-green, blue-green, blue, blue-violet, yellow-orange, yellow, yellow-orange, orange, red-orange, red. Probably if I had owned this book back in the day, I probably would have colored this in. Then we have an even larger spectrum. As the book progresses, I like how it adds more and more to the color wheel. It has our neutral gray in the center. Then we have primary colors, binary colors, and hues. So we have 3 parts yellow plus 1 part red equals yellow orange, 3 parts blue plus 1 part red equals blue violet. I have watched some videos where ideally you're supposed to be able to take different parts, like how it says 3 parts yellow, 1 part red, and get this color, but I don't know if that's actually the case. But then we have analogous color schemes: yellow, yellow, orange, orange, gray, yellow, gray, brown. Oh, gray, yellow, orange, gray, orange. Red, red, violet, gray, violet. I'm getting mixed up. Gray, red, violet, gray, violet, blue, blue, green, green, gray, blue, green, gray, green. This book doesn't even smell like an old book. Usually when you get like these old books, they smell very musty. This seems like it was kept in a vault somewhere, practically. And in our costumes, however, nothing could be more hideous than glaring combinations in large quantities of these complementary pairings. A red waist with a skirt of normal green, a blue suit with a superabundance of orange trimming, or a velvet wrap of normal violet with yellow fur trim would offend the refined taste and render the wearer uncomfortably conspicuous. As in everything else, a little color knowledge is a dangerous thing. We should play safe until we have gained through experience the knowledge that will develop judgment, and that will also develop that mysterious but highly important quality which we call taste. I like, this is kind of veering into a little bit of fashion as well. A simple device for locating complementary pairs of colors is shown in Figure 1. A pointer has been cut of thin cardboard and attached by a thumbtack to the center of the color chart. This pointer turns easily on its pivot, and its end indicates the different pairs of colors that are complementary to each other. Oh, I think that was this image. Then we get into neighboring or analogous colors. And the distinguishing color quality is like value, one of the essential properties or qualities of color. We speak of it as hue. It is a hue that makes yellow distinguishable from orange, or that enables one of the distinguishable blues from green. We know that in the world about us, there are many hues that are not shown in our charts. Let us see if we can find out how to classify and name these different colors, just as we discovered in Chapter 5 how to classify and name the different values of color. All of these facts about color, interesting as they are, will be of small service to us unless we use them. That is what all knowledge is for, to be used. Let us see how these new and beautiful hues of color can be made helpful in enriching our color and vocabulary, in making that vocabulary express our ideas of beautiful color combinations. When a certain color is presented in each of several hues, as for example, yellow is presented in yellow-orange, orange in red-orange, there is a certain relationship established, just as exists between brothers and sisters of the same family. Yellow is a blood relation of any other color that contains yellow. It is not a blood relation of red or blue. Yellow, red, and blue are the founders of 3 separate and distinct families, and they themselves have nothing in common. We call those colors that contain a common element analogous. In the chart, analogous colors are placed as neighbors in the circle. Because of this position, they are sometimes called neighboring or analogous colors, and this also expresses their relationship or harmony in a way that we can all understand. So, color harmony, analogous colors, neighboring colors. I've never heard them be referred to as neighboring colors myself, but that is an interesting. I like all these varying terms to describe one single thing. Since a common element in each group of colors can be depended upon to produce harmony, we are safe in choosing analogous or neighboring colors for a color scheme. This explains the reason for the vertical rows of colors under the caption analogous color schemes in chart 6. Yellow, yellow orange, and orange in full intensity are given as a scheme that may be safely used in place where such brilliant coloring is appropriate. The scheme of these same colors grade is fully as beautiful, but in a quite different way. We could use the grade colors in much larger quantities, as in room furnishings or costumes, and feel that we have not offended good taste. The same is true of other groups of analogous colors given in the charts. Intense red, red violet, and any violet suggests a rich and gorgeous scheme for certain decorative purposes. A bed of dahlias shows us the same colorings, plucked from their parent stalk and arranged in a vase that continues or completes wonderful harmony. Their decorative value in a room is enormous, but who would think of hanging bright red curtains in a room with red violet walls and placing in the same room a rug of intense violet on the floor? The gray schemes of violets, however, suggest charming effects for costumes or furnishing. A device for locating color triads is the same thing we have on our modern day color wheel. Colors in full, intense, and grade colors. We have 3 parts yellow added to 1 part violet, make gray yellow. 3 parts orange added to 1 part blue makes gray orange. 3 parts red added to 1 part green makes gray red. 3 parts green added to 1 part red makes gray green. 3 parts blue added to 1 part orange makes gray blue. 3 parts violet added to 1 part yellow makes gray violet. Then next we are on chapter 8, the color triad and the split complementary. Split complement. We're going to speed through this a little bit longer because we've been talking for a while. So let's get into the different charts. Then we have colors in 1/2. In 1/4 intensity is monochromatic color schemes. I was afraid a little book bug was going to pop out at me, but it doesn't seem to be the case. So let me know if you'd like. We have psychology of color. Like me to get into more readings of this with you guys, color harmonies and costumes, and I definitely have no problem doing that. And or if you just want to read it on your own, like I said, I will try and locate that Smithsonian Institute site where you can just read it all for yourself at your leisure or leisure. And I do plan on, at some point in the future, getting around to my praying deep dive someday, hopefully sometime soon. And if you guys have any questions for me, please let me know down below. And I hope you guys all have a really great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one.